streets to the screen, from the headlines to the beat. This is Daily Buzz.
Welcome to Daily Buzz News, our lead story today.
Now under General Monatsi's territory, Cat Matlala was secretly transferred to South Africa's most formidable supermaximum prison in KwaZulu-Natal. In the dead of night, on December 21, 2025, as the festive season cast a deceptive calm across the country, a clandestine operation unfolded, shrouded in secrecy normally reserved for matters of national security. Cat Matlala, a man whose name had become synonymous with the dangerous intersection of organized crime and political power, was quietly removed from his cell in Pretoria. His destination was a place spoken of in hushed, fearful tones within the criminal underworld, Ebongweni Correctional Center, located near Kokstad in KwaZulu-Natal. This was no routine prison transfer. It was a calculated and decisive move in a high-stakes battle for the very soul of South Africa's justice system. A story of power, betrayal, and a desperate attempt to sever the strings of a suspected puppet master from a vast and insidious web of influence. At the heart of this dramatic relocation lies a tale of a crusading police general, a compromised system teetering on the brink of collapse, and a single illicit cell phone, one powerful enough to threaten the exposure of everything. The transfer was only officially confirmed by the Department of Correctional Services on December 30th, more than a week after it had already taken place. That delayed confirmation ignited a firestorm of speculation. While the DCS, through spokesperson Singabako Ngzumalo, insisted the move was standard operational procedure driven by security and safety concerns, the timing, the destination, and the sheer audacity of the operation told a far more urgent and complex story.
What we need to highlight is that the transfer of remand detainees and sentence offenders between correctional facilities is a standard operational practice informed by a range of considerations, primarily security, safety, operational requirements, and effective inmate management across the correctional system. It has to be stated as well that the transfer of a remand detainee does not prejudice his or her legal rights or access to services.
To truly understand why Matlala was moved to what many describe as a modern-day Alcatraz, one must first unravel the intricate tapestry of the man himself, the seismic political events that preceded his transfer, and the unyielding resolve of the general into whose territory he was delivered. Cat Matlala is not just another alleged crime boss. He represents a new and far more dangerous breed of underworld figure, one who does not operate solely in the shadows, but also within the corridors of power. Arrested in May 2025, Matlala faces an astonishing 11 counts of attempted murder, along with a catalog of serious charges, including conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering, fraud, and attempting to defeat the ends of justice. The most prominent of these charges stems from a brazen and calculated attack carried out in October 2023 on the N1 highway near Sandton, Johannesburg. The alleged target was his former girlfriend, actress, and socialite Tobik. In a scene reminiscent of a gangster film, her vehicle was sprayed with bullets as it traveled along the highway. She survived, suffering a gunshot wound to her foot. Her passenger, however, was not as fortunate, sustaining a severe spinal cord injury, an injury that would permanently alter her life. Prosecutors allege that Matlala paid 150,000 rand for the failed hit, a chilling indication of the extreme measures he was allegedly willing to take against those who crossed him. The incident was reportedly so traumatic that Tobik fled South Africa, fearing for her life. A stark illustration of the terror and influence that Matlala's name had come to inspire.
In a sense, has also changed forever after the shooting incident.
The applicant is, by his own admission, a dangerous criminal with no regard for human life. Apart from arranging the killing of Mr. Biyani in cold blood, he endangered the lives of the occupants of the motor vehicle they were traveling in. 15.2. The crimes that he is charged with are at this stage conspiracy to commit murder, 3 counts of attempted murder and money laundering, and if he is convicted will face long-term imprisonment.
But Matlala's alleged criminality extends far beyond personal vendettas. He has reportedly openly and almost boastfully admitted to bribing senior police and government officials with hundreds of thousands of rands, weaving an extensive web of influence that allegedly allowed him to operate with near total impunity. These claims paint the picture of an individual who did not merely evade the law, but one who is alleged to have manipulated the very institutions meant to uphold it.
No. But what do you think a bribe is?
A bribe?
Yes.
I know what a bribe is.
Tell me what you think a bribe is.
A bribe is a bribe. Is to
Yes, tell me how a bribe works.
Is to give someone money in exchange for a favor.
Yes. Isn't that what you did?
No, it's not what I did.
Did you not give Taylor $500,000 in exchange for a favor?
If you were in my shoes, you will do it as well.
No, that's not the question. The question is that not what you did? Did you not give Taylor $500,000?
Yes, I gave him money.
For a favor. That's a bribe.
I was not bribing him.
You were. You're in denial, but you were. In my view, Mr. Matlala, you're not a businessman. You're a crook.
I am.
You're a thief, you're a fraud, and you're corrupt. And the problem in this country today is that people like yourself clothe yourself in the respectability of calling yourself a businessman when you are nothing but a dishonest thug. You make an illicit fortune by stealing from the poorest of the poor. It's people like you and your associates that have robbed generations of South African children of their futures. Shame on you, sir. I'm finished, Chair.
It was these deep-seated connections that made Matlala's continued incarceration at Kosi Mampuru II Correctional Center in Pretoria, just a stone's throw from the seat of government and the heart of his alleged network, so perilous for those attempting to bring him to justice. He was, investigators believed, a spider at the center of a vast web, and even from behind bars he could still sense the vibrations and allegedly pull the strings. The catalyst for his dramatic relocation, the spark that finally lit the fuse, came in July 2025 with the discovery of a cell phone inside his prison cell. This was no ordinary contraband seizure. The raid was secretly ordered by the National Commissioner of Correctional Services, Makothi Samuel Thobak-Gale, who later made a startling admission about the depth of dysfunction within his own department. He revealed that he did not trust junior officials at the prison, a statement that underscored the seriousness of the security breach and the extent to which the system itself had been compromised.
Because of a reclassification, he is classified as high risk. But also, secondly, we continue to do searches, especially these types of searches that we did last night. On Sunday morning, we did a surprise search and we found a cell phone in his possession. At that time, he was in a section called local. So that's basically a section that is a section that houses medium to low risks. He was at medium local.
Yeah, and have you been able to ascertain how he was able to get his cell phone into the prison cells, considering that part of the raid as well, we've seen, even with other correctional centers, is that that contraband is found on some prisoners?
Well, we are busy with that investigation. And we will, once we are very clear about how it happened, be able to pronounce.
When confronted, Matlala allegedly made a desperate attempt to flush the cell phone down the toilet, but officials managed to retrieve it before it was destroyed. What investigators later uncovered on that device was nothing short of explosive. The phone's download report, later presented in the Alexander Magistrates Court by prosecutor Eli LaRue, revealed screenshots dated July 6, 2025. On that very day, Matlala was actively watching a live broadcast, a press conference that was sending shockwaves across the nation. It was a briefing delivered by Lieutenant General Mlanlam Kwanatsi, the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Police Commissioner, a moment that would prove pivotal, and one that investigators believe marked the beginning of the end for Matlala's ability to operate freely, even from behind bars.
I must highlight that this Mr. Vusimuzi Cat Matlala is an individual who was awarded a police contract of over 360 million rand in 2024. An analysis was conducted on electronic communication of this arrested person. This analysis reveals communication between the arrested Vusimuzi at Cat Matlala, Mr. Brown Mokhotsi, an associate of the Minister of Police, as well as the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu.
The phone also contained a contact list that read like a who's who of the security cluster. Among the entries was a number allegedly belonging to Warrant Officer Finaini Zungu of the Elite Hawks Unit, saved under the cryptic and deeply concerning name operator. The implications were staggering. Even from within the confines of a maximum security prison, Matlala was allegedly not only communicating with the outside world, but also monitoring events in real time. More troubling still, investigators believe he was closely following the actions of the very man who had openly declared war on corruption, and on the criminal networks Matlala was alleged to represent. That man was Lieutenant General Mlanla Mkhwanatsi. General Mkhwanatsi's press briefing on July 6, 2025, marked a moment of unprecedented defiance in the history of democratic South Africa. Appearing in full Special Task Force regalia, flanked by masked, heavily armed officers, he delivered a message unlike any heard before. He declared himself combat ready, and he stated unequivocally that he was prepared to die for the people of South Africa. And there was only one place in South Africa believed capable of guaranteeing his complete and total isolation: eBangwini Correctional Center, located near the remote, windswept town of Kokstad in KwaZulu-Natal. eBangwini is not just a prison. It is a fortress of isolation and control. Often described as South Africa's most extreme supermaximum facility, it has a capacity of approximately 1,440 inmates and a reputation for being virtually inescapable. Inmates are typically confined to their cells for up to 23 hours a day, housed in stark, tightly controlled environments designed to limit movement, communication, and influence. Security measures are severe, incorporating advanced surveillance technology, strict access controls, and intensive monitoring, all aimed at preventing the flow of contraband and severing contact with the outside world. This is where the country's most dangerous and high-risk offenders are sent. Individuals whose influence must be dismantled, whose networks must be cut away with surgical precision. At eBangwini, communication with the outside world is, for all practical purposes, almost impossible. And it was here that authorities believed Matlala's reach could finally be brought to an end.
Military confinement, and this is the only sunshine they see for an hour in a small courtyard during their exercises.
This is the worst prison I've ever been in, whether it's in Nigeria or in Angola or anywhere. This is the worst kind of place you can keep anyone.
The late Mozambican national Ananias Mate, known as the Houdini of CIMEX, tried to break out of eBangwini.
He tried to cut the glass, and then he tried to unscrew on the top there, as you can see, but all that was in vain.
So it's the way he left it?
Yes.
Were you surprised that he attempted to break out of it?
That was the first attempt in this center. We didn't have any other.
Mate was convicted of a string of crimes, including rape, attempted murder, fraud, and armed robbery. He was sentenced to 54 years. The notorious Western Cape 28th gang leader, George Thomas, nicknamed Geweld, which means violence, was sentenced to 7 life prison terms for a host of crimes, including murder.
I'm gonna be brutally honest. I'm not saying I regret it, because my whole life shaped the person that I am today. But what I know for a fact, if I could have changed some things, I wouldn't be here where I am now.
And this message to the aspiring gang members from a once powerful and feared gang leader.
Stay away from drugs, guns, alcohol, teenage pregnancy or sex.
Umlazi gangster Sibusiso Thilili Mzimela has escaped from police custody and different jails 9 times. Dubbed the modern-day Houdini, the cash-in-transit heist and hijacking kingpin was jailed for 99 years. He has spent 9 years at Ebongweni.
Impilo la ejele inzima. Ngizwe nje mhlambe bekhohliswa mhlambe abanye abantu umuntu ongaze angene ejele ethi la ise 5-star hotel la awukwazi ubona bonje oqala once wasuswa ebantwini bakini emphakathini kukodwa nje lokho kwekulimaza umqondo awukwazi ukuzenzela.
This 35-year-old Lesotho national is the longest-serving prisoner in Ebongweni. He was sentenced to 140 years for raping 7 women, murder, kidnapping, assault and robbery.
Ke sile ka le ka o twa tongonye ke tswang ho yona go ke fitle mona na go ke kopanywe le batho be ningi ba fositse gore bonyane ba ntshwarele gobane kiso.
The transfer was a masterstroke of strategic planning. It was executed just 2 weeks before Matlala's trial was due to resume in the Gauteng High Court in Johannesburg, and deliberately timed just ahead of Christmas, a period when security operations are often stretched due to holiday leave. The timing was no coincidence. The move drew criticism from some quarters, with Johannes Meiberg of Exclusive Mediator describing it as a waste of taxpayers' money, arguing that Matlala would now need to be transported back and forth for court appearances. But for those who understood the gravity of the threat, the cost was seen as a small price to pay for severing Matlala's remaining lines of communication and influence. At the heart of the operation was a relationship of trust between the National Commissioner of Correctional Services, Makothi Samuel Thobakgale, and Lieutenant General Mlamla Mkwanatsi. It was Thobakgale who personally made the call after the illicit cell phone was discovered, bypassing compromised internal channels within his own department. He asked the general to deploy his most trusted officers to secure and collect the device. That decision reflected a rare level of cooperation at the highest levels of the state. A quiet pact between 2 men determined to push back against a tide of corruption that had threatened to overwhelm the justice system itself.
National Services and prison authorities claim the prison softens hardened criminals.
We pride ourselves that it is a center of last resort in the Republic. It is a center that when all else in the Republic has failed, when people are giving problems in our centers, when people who have committed serious, horrible crimes, we say they must be taken through the processes, special programs of Ebongweni, because
the decision to move Matlala to KwaZulu-Natal was therefore both deliberate and symbolic. It sent a clear message that Matlala was now on General Mkwanatsi's home turf, a region where the general's influence is strongest and his network of trusted officers is most firmly established. The move was designed to isolate Matlala not only physically, but also from the network of allegedly corrupt officials who had, for years, enabled and protected him. It was a public declaration that the rules of the game had changed, and that Matlala's days of pulling strings from behind bars were coming to an end. The implications of this transfer are far-reaching and profound. In the world of organized crime and high-level corruption, geography is destiny. By relocating Matlala to Ebongweni Correctional Center, authorities placed him in an environment where his network of contacts has minimal reach. Kokstad is a remote area, far removed from the urban centers where Matlala's influence was allegedly at its strongest. The facility itself is specifically designed to prevent the very kind of communication Matlala had allegedly been engaging in while incarcerated in Pretoria. The 23-hour solitary confinement regime means he has virtually no opportunity to interact with other inmates or compromised officials who might attempt to smuggle messages or devices. The single hour of daily association time is strictly monitored and tightly controlled. This stands in stark contrast to the relative freedom he appeared to enjoy in Pretoria, where, evidenced by the discovery of the illicit cell phone, he was allegedly able to maintain contact with the outside world. Beyond its immediate impact, the transfer also sends a powerful signal to the criminal underworld and to corrupt officials within the system. It demonstrates that there are consequences for attempts to manipulate the justice system from within prison walls. It shows that officials such as National Commissioner Makothi Samuel Thobakgale and Lieutenant General Mlamlam Kwanatsi are prepared to take bold and decisive action to protect the integrity of the system. This is not a message that will be lost on those who allegedly benefited from Matlala's influence or those who protected him. The timing of the transfer, just before Christmas and just ahead of Matlala's trial resumption, is equally significant. It suggests strategic thinking that goes far beyond routine logistics. By moving him during the holiday period, when attention is divided and staffing levels are reduced, authorities minimize the risk of leaks or interference. By moving him just before his trial, they severely limited any alleged attempts to coordinate his defense or intimidate witnesses. It is a move that reflects a deep understanding of power, control, and narrative. The relationship between Thobakgale and Kwanatsi also warrants closer examination. These are two men operating at the highest levels of South Africa's security establishment who chose to work together, bypassing standard channels to achieve a shared objective. Such cooperation is rare, and it underscores the gravity of the challenge they are confronting. More importantly, it suggests the emergence of a broader coalition within the state, officials determined to push back against the infiltration of public institutions by organized crime. Thanks for watching.